What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA Show, powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Full Commander season, Tim Legler, coming off of a victory in Week 1. Legs, I was going to say, how are you doing? But I already know.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Home opener. Yes, first game of the year. Of course, I was there. My daughter and I went down. She's an Eagles fan, but she likes spending the day with dad, so she goes with me to some of these games. And it was great, man. Defense out of control, good. I just absolutely suffocated Russell Wilson. Offense was just okay. A lot of penalties. Jaden Daniels, though, it did not do anything in the preseason. I don't think the guy broke a sweat because they want to protect him. Yeah. I was worried about him being rusty, Adam, but he looks like this guy I think is going to be the face of the league within about 3 years.
I love it. Just turn it all the way up, Legs. Turn it all the way up.
We get a win. 21-6 against a pretty bad Giants team, but 21-6. And now we got Thursday night at the Packers for game 2. Right off the bat, a short week. So I'm concerned about Thursday night. But here we go.
You're in true NFL form. Already last week's behind us. It's Monday. We were looking ahead. We're looking to the next challenge. I love it. You know what my goal is, Legs? My goal is when you go to these games and you're in the stadium and people are recognizing you and saying hi or whatever, that they say, Legs, are you leaving early today or what?
That's what man. I've only gotten that from a couple of people that sit in my section that are like become closer friends over the 5 years. You know, I talk to every week. Yes, I have gotten some of that. It was cool this time. I haven't seen anybody since last January in the stadium. Yeah. So I did have some people come up, man. It was kind of cool. They were like, "Hey, man, congrats on the finals promotion and all that stuff." So that was kind of cool. But most importantly, man, it's just leaving there for the 3.5 hour drive back after a win is everything. After a loss, it just absolutely sucks. So after a win, it's just such a relaxing drive, you know. So I enjoyed the day, man. It was a great day.
You got your AC/DC on. We can all picture it. We all see the image right now. Today's show is going to be a great one because, man, EuroBasket delivered the round of 16 as elimination begins. Nothing but upsets and some painful ones. Legs, you're happy. You're floating right now. You got your victories. I am wounded after Nikola Jokic and Team Serbia fall. We're going to talk about that game as well as Luka Doncic carrying Slovenia, and then quick mentions of some of the other games because they were great, but we don't have time to get into all of them. As well as preview what's happening ahead. So now there's just 8 teams left, 3 games to go before we crown a champion in EuroBasket, and it's packed with NBA players. But we're going to start with a crazy upset, a 17-point upset by Team Finland over Serbia, 92-86. This game happened on Saturday. Lauri Markkanen went for 29 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. Nikola Jokic went for 33 points on 9 of 14 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. But Legs, what stood out to me was 2 things. One, how hard it was to get Jokic the ball so that he could really do damage. I mean, he was getting to the line pretty much every time he touched the ball, but they couldn't get it to him consistently. And on the other end, Finland just went after him as much as we've ever seen him at the NBA level, at FIBA level, at anything. They kept getting him drawn out into an island, and they made so many shots over him. And every time they missed a shot, they grabbed a rebound because he wasn't down in the paint to secure it. It was a great game plan, but in my opinion, and maybe I'm too close to it, it was a tough look for Jokic, who was out on an island over and over again, and guys were just working him, getting to their spots, and shooting threes over him, and that's what determined the game. What did you see in this one?
Okay, I'm going to come to his defense a little bit on this particular point. On the point you're making right now, because the bottom line is this. If you go back and look, Elias Valtonen won the game for Finland. He was the guy down the stretch that did all the damage. I think he had 8 points in a row. When you're talking about it, at one point Serbia had the lead, and this guy scores 8 straight points down the stretch. And Jokic was guarding this guy from the beginning of possessions, including like the biggest one when he was guarding him on an out-of-bounds play on the baseline. This guy, the reason I say that it's kind of surprising because there were like 2 or 3 options for Jokic to be guarding bigger guys on the floor. And they had him on this guy who was quick and popping to his spots. He had range out to close to 30 feet. And Jokic is prone to want to protect the paint. And even on that big out of bounds play in the baseline, Adam, like you can see him in the lane. He's guarding him. There's like 3 seconds on the shot clock. The ball's on the baseline. It's a huge, huge play in the game. And you can see they run this action. There's a couple of guys are curling toward the rim, and Jokic is like hanging back under the basket because he's the biggest guy on the floor. He's trying to provide some rim protection so nobody gets a cut layup off the out of bounds. And then this guy, Valtonen, just pops back to the 3-point line, and you're asking Jokic to now go cover about 20 feet to get out there and get a handoff. That was the biggest one, but there were 2 other possessions in which he was guarding him from the start of the possession. And it wasn't like they ran ball screen, got an ISO, and somebody just went by him and blew by him and got to the rim. That happens in the NBA sometimes. Nobody on Finland is going to do that to Jokic. It was a different way of attacking him. Serbia chose to put him on a 3-point shooter with almost unlimited range. And Jokic had a very difficult time being the paint presence that he wanted to be, and then also recover out to the shooter. And to me, that was the difference down the stretch. And then I just thought their shot selection the other way, Serbia's, was poor. Jokic didn't touch it a couple times, man. Like early in the clock, up the floor, 1 possession game. And how is he not touching the ball every time down the floor? I will say this. Tell me if you agree. I did think he looked really gassed.
Yeah, for sure.
Gassed. And look, it's summer for them, for these guys, basically. They're getting ready for camp here pretty soon. They're coming out of the summer, coming out of their most extended time off, although I'm sure they've been training together, this team, and he's played a number of games. So, he's probably better shape than a lot of guys would be at this time of the year. But he looked really tired. And I think part of it, Adam, is the emotion of how much this means to these guys. Yeah. That drains your adrenaline. It really is. Your lungs start to burn. You're having a harder time breathing. It's because it's very physical, and it means so much. And I think Jokic, to me, looked very tired. And a couple of those possessions I'm talking about where he didn't touch it, I'm not sure that he looked like he was in position to run down there, post up, and do something strong with it anyway, because he was sort of grasping for air a little bit, running up and down the floor. And I thought Finland took advantage of it. And anyway you slice it, you and I were talking before we came on. Is this the biggest win in history for Finland?
I don't know their history well enough to say, but I do know it was a 17-point upset. A 17-point upset is a huge one. I don't think there's a single game this weekend or tomorrow that is 17-point spread. It was
real quick before you do. I'm gonna let you go on, but before just let people need to understand something too. A 17-point spread in a 40-minute game is the equivalent of a 25-point spread.
Yeah.
If that's a 48-minute game, that's a 25-point spread. Yeah. That's what we're talking about, the difference between the two teams. So go ahead. I'll let you finish that.
And the reason was Finland didn't have any size. I mean, the guy they had guarding him was was probably 50 pounds lighter, but their game plan was just to sandwich him. And we talked about this last week that, the first I thought it was JJ Redick with the Lakers, the sandwich defense, on Jokic, just put 2 guys on him and make them go somewhere else. But then you really saw Oklahoma City do it with Caruso, just front him and then bring help immediately. And part of me thinks that teams experiment with things until it works, and then everybody copies it. And I wonder if this is a thing that teams are like, hey, when Jokic is on the court, so much of the offense tilts towards playing through him. So we're just going to try to not let him ever catch the ball. And I do think he was tired and he was heavy, and he had a kind of a bad tournament all around. And a month out from media day and training camp beginning, it becomes a little bit of a question. How much better a shape are you going to get into in the next 3 weeks? But I thought a lot of this was just sandwiching him and taking him out. And there was, even you said he didn't go down to the post. When he went down to the post, he couldn't get the ball to him. They had a lot of turnovers just trying to get him the ball in the post because of how much emphasis was put on him. But to give Finland credit, they executed their game plan, I thought, phenomenally well. And it wasn't just the shot making. They only had 15 threes, which is a lot, but it wasn't like 20. But they caught every rebound. Their plan was twofold. Get Jokic out. And I agree with you. Serbia obliged them in a way they shouldn't have, but then crash the boards. Jokic is their rebounder. If he's out guarding and contesting 3-point shots, everybody crashed the boards, and they got so many back-breaking second chance opportunities. And that, to me, more than anything else, was the difference in the game.
Yeah, agreed. Look, and by the way, like we've been watching this tournament the entire time, and we've been talking about this, like the importance of the 2-point shot to these teams and the way they run their offense. And the way the ball goes inside so much, almost with not really intending on scoring, because they run a lot of split to the mid-range stuff. And they took 42 threes out of 74 shots. Like, in terms of 3-point ratio, this is one of the highest in the tournament that we've seen. And this was going to be their strength. And they felt like they could extend Serbia out on the perimeter, move the ball, get to the open shots, and they knocked down 15, 30, almost 36%. That's more than reasonable when you take 42 threes. It was the difference in the game. Three-point shooting was huge for them. I also thought they were, because they took threes, their angles in coming in from the three-point line to get offensive rebounds and run down long ones was a big factor in the game. And look, here's what the deal is. If you are a team that's that heavy of an underdog in any situation, if you can just get to a situation where you're in a one-possession game with 5 minutes to go, there's an immense amount of pressure on the favorite. And they start to play that way. And Finland continued to play loose. I thought Serbia looked a little bit tight. I thought Mičić really didn't give them much. They needed more out of him. He wasn't very good in this game, and he had the ball a lot. I thought he overhandled it, over-dribbled it. He needed to do more to help. But it looked to me like Finland was the looser team because it was almost house money against this team. And once it's tight, you as the underdog can continue to play loose because you still have the house money mentality. The favorite starts to get tight. And I thought that's what it looked like for me with Serbia last 5 minutes.
Two quick notes here on Finland. One, we've watched them a lot in this tournament, and I've been unimpressed. I've been so impressed with Lauri Markkanen and how much he's carried him. I actually thought they had a lot of guys step up in this one. And this one was the first time I watched them and thought, hey, man, that team executed a game plan smartly and did what they were supposed to do. And then I wanted to ask you about Slim Jesus, of course, because we're talking about him because he's going to be entering the draft, and he had a couple moments in this game, including 2 threes over Jokic in the fourth quarter as well. What did you think of him? Miikka Muurinen, the skinny, he almost looks like Andre Karolinko. You know, he almost has an Andre Karolinko body to him. What did you think? Did he hit those threes? He's got the tats. He's a 17-year-old or 18-year-old with a neck tat. He's got a little bit of a personality to his game and to his appearance.
Oh yeah, and he got into a little bit of a scrap, which I liked, and he was barking back. And he's still a teenager. He wasn't backing down. There's a grown man out there. But look, the Karolinko. I like that defensive comparison a lot. I think he's got significantly higher upside offensively down the stretch as his career goes on. Here's the thing. He only played 11 minutes in the game. He had 9 points, but they were so impactful in such a short period of time. Like it was both ends of the floor. And I thought his most impressive play didn't even count. They had a play where he was going the weak side of the floor, and Jokic sealed a guy. They threw it to him right under the rim. And Jokic just turned one step. He's so used to laying that in. Muurinen was outside the lane on the opposite side of the floor. He took one step, jumped, and blocked it. And his entire, basically from the elbow up, was above the rim. And he blocked it. They called goaltending because the ball was definitely still on the way up, but it was very much in the cylinder. And he went up and blocked it. It was like a wow moment athletically for what this guy is capable of doing. And then just the confidence. He had a three, one of those threes, or maybe both, were in the fourth quarter. I know one of them was. There's so much pressure, man, when you're playing for your national team. And he looked so confident. I said it about him the last time we talked about him. That's what stood out to me the entire time. He looks like he belongs. He's comfortable. He's certainly got confidence beyond his years in an environment with this kind of intensity. He's going to be something, man. I'm going to be following this guy now. And this is my first look at him in this tournament. And I am going to be absolutely following this guy going forward because I really think you have a chance to find a special player with this guy.
I agree. I think he looks good, and he looks like a villain. He plays a little bit like a villain. So I think he's going to be a personality people kind of attached to, and that should be fun. Last note here, and we're going to move on to Slovenia, but people don't know what a big deal it is to win a gold for your national team, especially in Serbia, where you have guys like Bodiroga, Danilovic, Djordjevic, Vlade Divac, guys that won multiple gold medals in international competition. The next one is the World Cup. USA will be in that. Then the Olympics, USA will be in that. EuroBasket, the next EuroBasket is not for 4 years. Jokic does not have a gold medal for Serbia. At this moment, it feels much more likely that he will not get one than get one. And when you look at Serbian history and say, we have guys with 8 gold medals across their career, 6, 5, 4, Jokic doesn't have one, and it's looking like it's not going to happen. And that's a big deal for him back home. I know people here in the U.S. don't really quite understand it, but this feels like the last good chance his team had. and they go out in the round of 16. So it's a big storyline for him in his home country. But let's go on to Slovenia now, because as we just talked about, Jokic had a tough task. Slovenia had a tough task. Italy, a bit of a disappointing tournament for them, but they do have talent. Fontecchio was on the team. He had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. But Luka Doncic, 42, 9, and 10. And unlike Jokic, nobody had to get him the ball. He had the ball the entire time. I think he had 10 of the first 12 points or something like that. And he just is so dominant in those moments, made big plays down the stretch. What did you see?
All right, first I want to I almost made the same mistake as you looking at the box score. Box scores are funky in this thing. So he didn't have 42, 9, and 10. He had 42, 10 rebounds and only 1 assist, which was going to be my first talking point on this, because it says 9 defensive rebounds, and the next column it says total rebounds. So when I looked at it, I thought the same thing as you. I thought, oh, yeah, 42, 9, and 10. Man. And then I looked at it, and actually the way it's broken down, they do offensive rebound, defensive rebound, total rebound, then right after that's assist. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, because the 1 assist to me told you all you need to know about what Luka was thinking in this game. All right, so you're in this situation now. You're playing Italy. You got a chance to advance to the quarters, and he was basically had it in his mind. He was either going to get a shot or get fouled almost every time down the floor. So he took 19 field goal attempts. He took 16 free throws on top of it. That's a lot of usage in a 40-minute game. I mean, it was really every trip. And the only way they really forced him to not be the primary shot taker was they were just running blitzes at him. Like, it got to the point where he was coming over half court, and they were running almost like a zone trap at him, with 2 guys coming up near half court to force him to give it up. But I gave Slovenia credit because they were patient enough to not take the bait and go play 4-on-3 with weaker players. And they would sort of attack, and then you'd see Italy would retreat back to the paint, and then Luka would just wait and get it on the second time. Now, the second time he would get it, they were deep into the clock. And that's fine with Luka. You know, that doesn't matter to him. It matter to him. It doesn't phase him. It doesn't affect him. He's going to play slow, even when the shot clock's inside 5 seconds, and get where he wants to go and use his strength to overpower you. And that's really what happened in this game. They couldn't really deal with his physical strength and presence and ability to draw fouls, and it controlled the game. Fontecchio played well. You pointed it out. I said that earlier on in the tournament. They had no chance if he doesn't play well. He played well in this game, but he was playing against a guy that's an MVP candidate that had 42 points and controlled the game the entire way. So this was really all about Luka. He got just enough help from some other guys. And I thought Omic, the big guy, their center, was huge with offensive rebounding in the fourth quarter to help them seal the deal. But this was a Luka show.
Fontecchio to me is the perfect player where he's good in the NBA. I actually really like him in the NBA. He's been interesting. But you see him on this stage where he gets to be a star and he gets to be the guy, and you're like, wow, this guy has so much more to his game than I thought. And I'm curious if when you watch him, if it changes your perspective. Obviously, he's not going to have this role in the NBA. He's not going to play that style. But when you see it, does it change you at all and say, like, man, this guy, maybe this is why you invest in a guy like this, because he could be somebody that leads certain moments or creates out of nothing a little bit more than I would have expected?
Yeah, he stepped up, and he hasn't been great the entire time, but he played well, and he including, like, had a huge shot in the left baseline late to, like, keep it a 1-possession game that, you know, where they really had a chance to pull it out, but it was just too much Luka down the stretch. He played well, and it's like, you know, and I liked him a lot. Watching him last year when he got opportunities, his minutes were very inconsistent. The guy's a solid NBA player, and you're not going to blame him for what happened. Slovenia had, like, by far, by miles, the best player on the floor. And he was able, in this type of setting, without being able to play him straight up with the kind of athlete that you need to be able to guard Luka Doncic to try to make him less efficient. If you don't have that, he's going to muscle right through you. He's going to beat your double teams that you throw at him because you're not quick enough to rotate on the weak side. And that's really what this came down to. And look, it's you know, I guess it's fun for all of us because, I mean, look, the guy's a lot of fun to watch, and now you get to watch Luka at least one more game.
Yeah, at least one more. And if he gets past this next one, it would be an even bigger upset. And we'll set the stage for that when we come back on the other side. We'll also talk about Giannis having maybe just as, if not more, of a dominant performance, and a great game for Lithuania, and set the stage here for the round of 8 on the other side. First, you guys know this moment, right? The one where you realize you left your favorite pair of sunglasses at the beach or the stadium or on the roof of your car, or maybe at a gas station 3 exits away. We've all been there. I've been there several times, but thank God for Shady Rays. They are changing the game. The sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. They have an incredible selection. They have every type of sunglass you could possibly want. So they're going to have your style. And then every single type, they have multiple colors and different textures to them. But the wild part is if you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, on concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. This is for real, by the way. You write them and say, hey, I broke my pair or I lost them, and they'll send you a replacement one. They'll look up your account, say, yep, sure enough, you did have this. Here you go with another one. I'm telling you, there's no other product you can get that is like fully replaceable. You just let them know. That's what Shady Rays offers. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code AC35 for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, use that code AC35. It helps us out. Also, tell you guys about FanDuel. It's the best place to find all of your favorite player props. You're betting on the NFL. That's one of the fun sports to bet on. Now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/All-NBA to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All-NBA show with me and Tim Legler. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're new, welcome. We do this throughout the season where we break down NBA games. You're not going to want to miss it. Greece gets the win over Israel, 84-79. Giannis goes for 37, 11, and 1. A big-time win for him, and it sets the stage for their next game against Lithuania, who got the win over Latvia, 88-79. That was a good game as well. We talked about it last week, Legs, where Lithuania lost Jokubaitis, their leading scorer, really maybe their best player, but they got contributions from some other guys. And so now we have Luka in the round of 8. We have Giannis in the round of 8. Both of those guys kind of, as far as you would have expected them to go, given the rosters that they had and just, the sort of the betting odds. But here Giannis is as well, 1 game away from getting into the medal round, carrying this team Greece. And they play a Lithuania team that I think is very beatable. I predict Greece with Giannis, not because the teams or whatever. I predict Giannis has what it takes to get past Lithuania. And to me, that's exciting because I did not pick Greece to be in the Final Four.
I agree with you on that, first of all. And nobody was more dominant or made it look easier than Giannis did in this round. I mean, and really probably in the whole tournament. This was really a man amongst boys in this entire game. It was almost laughable. It was almost laughable how physically overwhelmed Israel was in trying to deal with this guy. And I do this every now and then. I have to do it, Adam. I got to talk to Eliza right now in this chat because Eliza came in here and just really to me, just spewing just stuff that's just absolutely factually inaccurate to say that this show, that this podcast does not get.
What does he say?
He's saying we never give Antetokounmpo credit.
You don't talk about my guy the way I want.
Some credit. You got to go to another podcast. You're not going to get it here. It's a joke. It's just a joke. Like, you're just literally making stuff up. I don't know what you're talking about.
Get him, man. Legs.
We give all of the top guys equal credit, man. There's no bias here or agenda. If Giannis deserves it on a given day, he gets it. Come on. It's ridiculous to say that. Can we go out of our way to avoid talking about Giannis, his greatness?
No,
Stop.
I love the idea. I love the idea that you're like really biased towards Italy or something. Like we're talking EuroBasket. We just learned these guys.
Man, if I say something and I'm dead wrong and you call me out on it, that's great. That's fine. And I'll call myself out actually first, usually, if I'm dead wrong about something. But to just factually say something that inaccurate that we don't talk about Giannis and give him credit, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, having said that, here's all you need to know about what Giannis did to Israel. Greece had 4 made threes and 6 made free throws. Now, like those are numbers that you would see like in a freshman basketball game in high school, like for a team. 4 made threes and 6 made free throws. In the way the game is played now, like you need one of those two things. I mean, I just said Luka basically dominated at the line, right? A lot of these Finland took 42 threes. It's just a huge part of your formula. And how were they able to win despite those paltry numbers from the 3-point line and the free throw line? Well, how about the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo was 18 for 21 on 2-point shots? 18 for 21. They as a team, Adam, were 33 of 50, 66% on 2-point shots in the game. It's literally video game type numbers. And it was all Giannis, really. And he did it every variety of ways. He might have had one of my favorite plays of the entire tournament. He caught an outlet pass, and he was still in the back court, both feet, when his hands touched the ball, and he took one dribble and dunked it. He covered 50 feet
his move
in one dribble and dunked the basketball. All right. So it was absolute domination what this guy did physically to Israel's front line, as you would expect. And I just, at no point did Israel seem like they had the will to throw enough bodies at him and have guys really sacrifice the way you have to lay your body on the line to try to draw some offensive fouls on him. That's the only chance they were going to have. And Giannis just had too many opportunities, Adam, where his first step from 12 feet was at the rim because the second defender allowed that gap. They weren't like toe to toe, so he has to go through your chest because he is prone to offensive fouls if you play him that way. When he's barreling toward the rim like that, Israel was not able to pull that off. And as a result, Giannis just kept taking advantage of it, and he put up one of the most insane stat lines and one of the most insane physical performances of the tournament.
On FanDuel, Greece is now favored in the next game against Lithuania, which means the odds are in Giannis's favor to make it to the medal round, which to me would just be awesome to watch. There's some great NBA players now consolidating as this bracket gets smaller and smaller. Turkey got the win over Sweden. Oh, real quick, Kristaps Porzingis, 34 points, 19 rebounds. He was actually very impressive because I was worried. You know, he had a weird season and he had some weird games early on in this one, but he was really good in that game. And he had a crazy putback dunk where he shot it from the foul line, missed it, ran and grabbed it with one hand and put it back contested, which to me was a good sign for Atlanta Hawks fans because he looked athletic and he looked confident in that game. Turkey beat Sweden 85-79. They advanced to face, I believe, Poland, who beat Bosnia and Herzegovina 80-72. Turkey, to me, right there with Germany among the two favorites in this tournament. And then Georgia got the upset over France. France, there were some upsets in this tournament, man. There were teams that you going in just on paper, you say, okay, France, Serbia, these are going to be the teams to contend. Both of them out in the first round. So it sets up Turkey versus Poland. Turkey heavy favorites there. Lithuania and Greece should be a great game. Finland and Georgia should be a great game. And then Germany and Slovenia. Germany is heavy favorites because they're much better. I think it's like 14 points. But Legs, the favorites in the tournament versus Luka with his back against the wall. I think it's too much to ask of Luka to overcome that team because Germany is the most complete team in this tournament. But you know what? It's Luka. I'm not counting it out. I am ready to see what he does in that game.
Well, he's going to see something entirely different defensively, certainly than he saw yesterday. Sure. Germany has the ability to not only throw size at him and guys that can laterally move, they've got athletes as well. They've got team speed to throw at him and to be in driving lane. So it to me, if Luka's able to somehow pull it off, The reason will be we're going to be talking about some sort of just insane performance from the three-point line. And he's capable. He might have to take 10, 12, 15 threes in this game because I just don't think Germany is going to allow him to get into the gaps and muscle you and carry you on his back and on his hip the way that he did in his last game. They're not going to allow that to happen. They're going to force the rest of this team to beat him. So that means Luka is going to take more step-back threes. I even saw in this game over the weekend, he took a couple of pin down off the pin down 3-point shots from like 24 feet. He doesn't take that shot in an NBA game. So you might see more of that against Germany. I think the approach is going to be different. Or listen, he did get to the line, 19 times? He might get to the line 20 times. I mean, he's possible drawing those fouls. I just don't think Germany defensively is going to look anything like what he just faced. It's going to be too formidable, and that's why you're right. I think Germany's going to be favored.
Well, it should be great. We're going to be back, I believe, on Wednesday, recapping Turkey and Poland, Lithuania and Greece, and then we'll be back on Friday, Finland, Georgia, Germany, and Slovenia. So we'll be covering these as well as the Hall of Fame. And if you're not watching, I'm telling you, Luka Doncic having to carry a team against the favorites in the tournament, yes, I'll watch that. Greece and Lithuania with Giannis a chance into the Final Four, okay. And then one of the best players in this tournament so far, Alperen Şengün, breaking out along with his running mate Shane Larkin, versus Poland should be fun. So, and then obviously Lauri Markkanen, who I think maybe has been as impressive as anyone playing. So you get a lot of NBA players playing now. The fringes have dropped. Cyprus and Great Britain and some of these teams that maybe weren't as fun to watch. But as this thing shrinks, it's going to be NBA players tasked with carrying really, really shallow rosters. And to me, it makes for big time performances. So it should be great. Before we get out of here, we got one super chat James. Psycho Blue, our guy, he says the best part about the salary cap scandal is that Balmer could be clean and Kawhi was paid $28 million to do nothing would still be true with how few games he's played as a Clipper. P.S. Lauri legend. We got in. If you're interested in that, we had Mark Stein on last week to talk about it. I thought it was a great conversation. I'll just leave you with this, Legs. I didn't prep you that we were going to talk about this, but my take on it, and Mark Stein pointed out that the NBA have their Board of Governors meeting. All the owners are going to come together this weekend in New York City and sit down, and this will be the top topic. You know, they didn't want it to be, but this will be the top topic. And my thing about this, and I'm curious if you agree, the same as when somebody gets caught in the sport with steroids or gambling or whatever it is, it tears down the trust of the fan base. And when I hear this, I just say, how many teams are handing money to people under the table? Large amounts of money. How much of this whole salary cap and level playing field is all a facade? And I'm not saying it is true. I'm just saying when something like this pops up, you wonder that, and it erodes the trust of the fans.
I agree. Any story like this that comes out, because what happens is it's always someone first is the one, and whatever it is we're talking about, that gets caught. And we don't know. This is all going to be investigated. And there's a lot more information is going to come out about this. We don't know exactly. We don't know yet. So I'm never one to like rush to conclusions on anything, because I know there's always going to be other shoes to drop on both sides of any argument. I'm just the way I am. I like to sit back and wait and see, and not rush to judgment and throw some immediate reaction to everything out there, because you just don't know. So the reason I say that, it's the first one to get caught is going to be the big story. What happens from that point on is people, like you saying, people start to then have doubt and skepticism about, well, what's going on like around the rest of the league. So it's just never good for the product. And look, they have vehemently denied any wrongdoing. So we've got to sit back now and see how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, it's a bummer. You could cue that outro music, James. What was Limoges offering you back in the day? Did they have, to make it work? Was it under the table, $28 million investment? What was going on?
I
want the real story.
They gave me a great set of hand-painted china from the Limoges China factory. That's what they bribed me with to come over. And Kelly Tripucka's warm-up suits, which he left in the apartment that I took over.
I love he didn't even get you a new set.
He's like 6'7", man. He was just a little bit too tall. I had to roll the bottoms up on his sweatpants, but I still wore them.
We got to find some footage, man, of these Limoges games, because the way Legs tells it, he was 45 points, even in a loss.
It's so funny you say that. Somebody just sent me within the last 2 months and I'll have to dig it up because I don't even know where I put it. I saved it somewhere in a file somewhere. They sent me the tape of like the last game of the season in the championship round.
We're going to have you do a telestration of this. That's what that's going to be our next telestration is legs breaking down legs in Limoges.
The funniest part would, Adam, the funniest part would be me breaking down my own teammates because it'll refresh my memory who these guys were. And like, I liked some more than others for different reasons. That would be the best conversation.
We got to do this, man. I think this sounds like a good time. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed because we will be back later this week as we get closer to the round of 4 and then the championship game. Everybody hit that like button. We'll see you on the other side.
All silly like the mayor.